So I decided to do some shoulders and legs today. Start off with some squats first because I find that, sometimes I want to get the hard body parts out of the way. But this changes back and forth. It just depends on where my weak link is and what I want to work on at that time, Ultimately, I find that if I start with legs all the time, then my upper body starts to lag behind because I find it's harder for me to put as much effort into my upper body training after doing squats. I find squats take so much out of you, or leg training of any kind, to tell you the truth. It seems to take so much out of me and all the blood goes in the legs that when I go down to train upper body, then it seems like I've got no gas left in the tank, or I feel nauseated, sometimes if I'm doing high reps or whatever. So I rotate it back and forth. So it just depends on where I feel I'm weak. That's what I'll start with. So you can apply that to yourself. I also apply that in one-legged squats or lunges. If I feel like one side is weaker than the other, that's the side I will start with. So you can actually incorporate that into your training. Here I am setting up the squat rack. I'm setting up the pins, and most of you are familiar with this. But there's a disturbing trend in CrossFit where there's no rack set up and they're squatting huge amounts of weight. And, I know from personal experience that sometimes the rack can actually save your butt. Because sometimes, you feel perfect, everything feels good, and then all of a sudden, bang, back goes out. I know guys that have thrown their back out just lifting a golf tee, or all of a sudden just putting suntan lotion on, all of a sudden, bang, something happens. Because sometimes the injuries aren't happening in the gym. Sometimes you can have an injury that happened outside the gym, and then when you come to the gym, that's when the heavy weight or the exercise will expose it. So it's not a bad thing to be a little careful as far as how you set yourself up. It's just like doing decline bench. So many people have died doing declines because they don't have a spotter or they don't have a rack set up just in case, and, they can't get the last rep up. And of course, inevitably the bar rolls onto their neck and then, that's it, right? So it's good to make sure that you have a little bit of a backup plan in case things don't go according to plan, right? I'm sure that most of the time, or 99.9% of the time, you guys are going to be fine and everything's feeling good and you'll never have to worry about it. But for that 0.1% chance, it's definitely worth it. So I always squat in a squat cage. I never squat outside of a squat cage. I find it's the best place to go. And so, the thing is, a lot of powerlifters back in the day, like my father, didn't squat with a squat cage. They just squatted with... I don't even know what you call it. There's like two poles or two stands basically, and you rest the bar on there, put the weights on, and then you just walk back, and then there you go, you squat, right? But yeah, I've been squatting in a squat cage so long that I can't imagine squatting outside of one. So anyway, I'm starting with one plate, and I rep out a lot. I don't show all the sets. Sometimes I'll do 2 or 3 sets of one plate just to stretch my butt out and everything, and then I'll move up a plate, and then I'll move up again. And my original plan was, maybe I'll do 365 today. But the reason why I didn't do 365, and I'm, spoiler alert, because I'm sure you guys are on the edge of your seat, what kind of weight is Jason going to do today? Oh my God, my life depends on what Jason does with his life, it's so exciting, And, the thing is, I didn't go to 365. The reason why is because I just wasn't feeling it. It felt like my legs were really strong. It felt like no problem, my legs could do it, but my lower back was not feeling super strong. It was feeling almost like a dead zone, and I think that's because I did some heavy bent over rows the day before. And this is the reason why it's important to listen to the body, right? Sometimes you'll have almost like a dead zone where you feel like things aren't that strong, or at least, I don't feel that stable, or, and what I'm trying to say is that it's not about being a little bit weaker. It's about the lower back has so many different muscles going on in there and so much stabilization going on that it's important for you to make sure that it is running at 90% to 100% capacity if you're going to start squatting and pushing yourself really hard. The reason for this is that if the lower back fails to do its job, then an injury is usually the result. So it's almost like you don't really have the luxury of pushing through fatigue when it comes down to lower back. It's really one of those things that a lot of bodybuilders learned. I know that there were a lot of guys in the gym actually back in the day, and there was a big trend long before YouTube even came out and everything. All of a sudden everybody started deadlifting. I mean, most of the guys never deadlifted ever before, and even squats weren't really the main part of their program. A lot of times it was leg presses and leg extensions, leg curls, and maybe some lunges here and there, but most of them were recreational squatters. I'll call them that. They were recreational squatters. And Well, what they started doing was incorporating deadlifts because, hey, it's supposed to be really good for getting the big back and big traps and all this sort of thing. And you know, it was great, but a lot of them were trying to put the same principles into deadlifting as they were doing with bicep curls. So they're trying to basically treat the exercise exactly the same, where, you know, it wasn't long before everybody realized that deadlifts command much more respect. You know, you can't just keep pulling and straining through your movements with deadlifts like you can with bicep curls, because when you do that with deadlifts, and then once the lower back starts to fatigue, well, guess what takes the stress then? The ligaments and also the discs between the vertebrae. And kablamo, you know, if you guys blew out their back and stuff because they were trying to, you know, push through the burn, you know, do heavy negatives and all this kind of stuff, and it just wasn't, the same principles just weren't applying. And the reason for that it's just the lower back is a different animal than, say, biceps. You know, the elbow joint and the shoulder joint and the knee joint and the back, there are just different principles that govern each one. And each one just, you have to treat it just a little bit differently depending on how, or at least how far you push into the burn. So just take that into account when you're training. So you can see here I'm doing 315 for my 90-degree squats. You know, that's what I feel is perfect. It feels great. I'm stretching down as deep as I want to go. Any deeper than that, then I'll start rounding my back, and then it's more knee pain and back pain, and it doesn't actually give me any more of a leg pump. So that's why I don't squat that much deeper. I have squatted deeper in the past, and I have actually conducted my experiments on this. So just so you know, I'm not just saying this out of some sort of idealism. It's not because I'm lazy. It's just I've actually found it just doesn't work for me in a way that feels right for my body. So this is actually really fun. And this is great too, because I get a really good look at those red pants, because they're like super pants. They're really bright. I'll have to up the saturation on this video just so I can see the red. Yeah, I really like colors lately. I guess that's why I've been painting. I've been painting lots of things, and I'm not really an artist. Just, I mean, it's probably pretty obvious to people that see my painting, but but I'm not much of an artist when it comes down to skill or technique. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun actually to take bodybuilding onto a canvas, I guess, because bodybuilding is really an art. You know, in a lot of ways, you're sculpting the body, right? So after training legs, I went to some shoulder presses, and I did a few warm-up sets with some light dumbbells. I didn't actually show that here, you know, 50s and 60-pound dumbbells, and then I went up to the 85s. And the weight's really easy for me. It's just that I'm still getting that shoulder to recover fully, and it's probably about 85%, I'd say, the shoulder. It's not 100% yet, but it's feeling pretty good. Ultimately, it feels good enough to train, and I'm glad to be back into the gym, and I'm looking actually okay for a guy that took an 8-week layoff and ate nothing but gelato, pizza, and espresso in Italy for 6 weeks or 5 weeks anyway. I was there, and then I took a few weeks off before I went. So yeah, I went through the body transformation challenge, but you know, I went through it in the opposite direction. But you know, I did a video on that actually, you know, the importance of taking rest from bodybuilding. And you know, if you feel guided to watch that, it'll be up in that icon in the top right corner. I'll put a little symbol there, the eye, the little eye dot thing you can click, and then you can actually find that video. But here you go. Yeah, 90 pounders. Pretty simple, right? You know, I keep it in that same range of motion in the constant tension. So, and here I'm doing lateral raises. Now, lateral raises were a little bit of a weird movement for my shoulder. For a while they were feeling kind of off for some reason. So I'm staying with a little bit lighter weight, just pumping reps, you know, just 20 pounders mostly. And just pumping reps and just trying to pump the blood in there and get that feeling and start getting the blood going in that shoulder joint again. And yeah, it's feeling pretty good so far. Yeah, it feels really good to be back in the gym to get that burn and the pump, you know, in the shoulders. It's something that I really enjoy getting. I mean, everybody's addicted to it at some point, you know, in a positive way. I mean, the whole point of taking rest from bodybuilding is to make sure you're not in a negative sort of state, you know. But here, I'm going to show you what I look like right now anyway. You know, it's not my ideal condition, but at the same time, you can see you get an idea of, you know, kind of where I'm at right now in my body transformation challenge or getting back in shape again, right? So here I am, and You know, I think that is missing something. I'm missing something here. What is that? Well, there you go. I'm missing my shirt. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Actually, this is some art that I've been working on. I'm trying to transplant it on my face there just to make sure nobody can, yeah, that might be an improvement. But anyway, yeah, this is art that I did. I made it available on t-shirts and also on canvas prints and everything. So I've got my links down below, Fine Art America link for any sort of art type stuff, tote bags, duvet covers, pillows, all that kind of stuff. And then also in Spreadshirt, I'm going to put this on t-shirts and stuff. So yeah, if you're interested, check it out. So thanks for watching, and yeah, keep tuning in to see my progress as I go along here, and yeah, keep training your way, keep finding what works for you, and take care for now.